First of all, I want to give our players a lot of credit for coming back in and playing against a very good and very well coached Arkansas team after a disappointing home loss to Ole Miss. I thought our guys were up for the challenge and did a lot of good things. You consider the fact that our starting point guard is out. I.J. Reddy, who's our best ball handler and our best decision maker with a ball. When you're playing a team like Arkansas where they make you make decisions in a short amount of time, I think our guys did a pretty good job. But I am frustrated with the fact that we lost the game. I think we're doing some really good things on the court, and we've got to find a way to win a ball game like this. And I think it boiled down to two things. The fact that our inability to take care of the basketball is really killing us. So we don't give ourselves a chance to win ball games like this when you have 23 turnovers, and some of them in really crucial time, but more importantly by veteran guys on your team. And then the last thing is we just had so many opportunities to defensive rebound or get a loose ball there. I think there was one possession there where it was 4 straight possessions where it went out of bounds, and eventually they scored. So in order for us to take the next step as a basketball team, we've got to find a way to give ourselves a chance to win that ball game by taking care of the basketball and securing some defensive rebounds.
Offensively down the stretch, obviously it was kind of a struggle. There was like a 6-minute gap there until Sword hit the 3 that held scoreless. Do you think it was just kind of the mental and physical fatigue of that press and everything, things just kind of ground down?
I don't think so. I think, Dave, if you look back at our games, we always have a stretch like that where we don't score. And I think it's pretty much in college basketball, teams go through some sort of a stretch where they don't score the basketball. But I don't know if it was from fatigue or the way Arkansas plays, because they make you expend an incredible amount of energy against the press first, and then you get in the half-court setting, you got to kind of calm down a little bit. But I don't think it was that. I just think that we have those spurts in almost every game, but it could have been.
Coach, Mike was saying Bobby Portis didn't practice the last couple of days because he's sick. He obviously struggled in the first half. Well, what do you think of his game, the way he came back in the second half?
I don't know. He scored a lot of points in the second half.
He had 12 points in the second half.
Okay, he must have played well. Came back and played well. I don't know. I didn't know he was sick. We wanted to make sure we attacked Bobby Portis in the low post and try to get him in some foul trouble and things like that. But I really didn't have any idea that he had 12 points and didn't have any points in the first half.
He had one in the first half.
Okay.
IJ went through warm-ups. How close of a decision was that game time?
It wasn't close. Yeah, he wasn't able to do anything yesterday. We didn't practice. We tried to get him to do some cutting things, and he couldn't put any pressure on that foot at all. And then, to my knowledge, he went out there in the warm-ups and just really couldn't cut and move. So I don't think it was even close for him to be able to play today.
Well, what impact does him having to miss the game have on you guys? And is there any kind of long-term prognosis for him?
I don't know what the long-term prognosis is, but obviously he's a crucial part to our team. He's our leading assist guy. He's our second leading scorer in SEC play. So, yeah.
Defensively, what have you been able to do against them? 61 the first time, 65 this time. They average 80.
Yeah, I think we're a good defensive team. I mean, and if you keep in the factors, Michael, that's unbelievable. We gave them 23 points. And so if we can simply, not do that, we're really good. I mean, we're an elite defensive team if we stop turning the basketball over.
Coach, I think your first year in the league, Arkansas was 1-8 in SEC road games. This year they're 5-2. What do you think is the difference in them this year that they're winning these road games?
I think obviously they're better, but they got veteran guys like Qualls and Portis who are now familiar with what Mike Anderson wants. And those guys are like the leading duo of scorer in the SEC play. And what you need on the road games, you need the guys that you can go to in crunch situations and make plays, and they got 2 of them.
I know a couple weeks ago you talked about the process of learning how to win it. Is this kind of a process as well, learning how to close out those close games rather than close losses?
I think so, and I'm not positive on this, Greg. You can probably help me out on this. I think this is our 6th or 7th game in SEC play that we've lost by 6 points or less. And so we've got to find a way to flip that around. And I think, what you want is you want it to happen this season, obviously. But our guys are making progress. We're a better team, but we've got to find a way to flip that stat around.
How important is it, you've got Kentucky coming up, which is obviously a very difficult game, but then down the stretch you've got some games that at least on paper look pretty winnable. I mean, to keep it, to keep them up mentally so that you say, we can close this on a good note?
Well, I don't look at anything and say like that's a win, that's a win, that's a loss. And I think it's an insult to like Missouri and Vanderbilt and those guys say that's a winnable game. So I don't look at it like that. I go and I attack every single game like how can we set ourselves up to win this game. I don't come in and say like, well, Arkansas is ranked 18th in the country, that's a loss. We don't have our starting point guard, that's a loss. We got to go in and got to attack every single situation. So I just don't look at it that way.
You talked about the steps that you've taken. I think the past couple of years you've had 30-point losses, 40-point losses, and now you're going up against top 25 teams and losing in the last minute or so. How do you keep that confidence and show the guys that, hey, you are improving whether it's win or loss?
Well, I think it's a fine line. It's a catch-22. What you want to tell your guys is you're proud of the fact that they were able to go in and compete and bounce back after a difficult loss to Ole Miss and do it without your starting point guard. But really, I'm still pissed that we lost. Because at the end of the day, if we take care of the basketball and we get a couple defensive rebounds, we got a chance to win the game. So, it's like kids. You got to pat them on the back some, but then you also got to tell them that you're disappointed. Then you got to figure out a way, how can we teach them to do that? And that's what we got to figure out.
With IJ out, how did you feel like Trevante played? I think he went 39 minutes. He was in there most of the ball game. What did you think of him?
I was never worried about Trevante's conditioning. He's a guy, I think he might have a third lung. He's always in shape. He never gets out of shape. So I wasn't concerned about that. I was just concerned about how Arkansas would play him. He's not a good shooter, so would they sag off of him? Would he be like that zone? Really gave us a problem there because he's at the top of it and you really don't have to guard him up there. So Trevante did a great job of not settling and taking uncontested threes that he really doesn't have a chance to make sometimes. So I thought he kept moving the ball, and really played a smart game. So I think you got to give a ton of credit to him.
What do you think of Falou and Oliver played with Gavin in the bench on Rock West too? What do you think of their play in that stretch?
Yeah, I thought a crucial thing that happened was when Gavin Ware was shooting a free throw and he had an over the back to get his fourth foul. He simply can't get that foul in that situation 80 feet away from the basket. Now we got both Falou and Oliver out there. We want to have Oliver and Falou out there with either Gavin or Roquez. You don't want two freshmen in your front line out there at the same time. So I thought that was a key stretch. But, those guys have got to do a better job of defensive rebounding. I think one played 13 minutes, the other one played 14 minutes, and they come away with one rebound, defensive rebound apiece. So they've got to do a better job of defensive rebounding when those guys are out.
One more question? Anybody?